We are pretty much done with our website, but in this last module, I'm going to show you how to make a few small changes to the tablet and mobile versions of your website. You certainly don't have to do this if you're happy with your site as is, but with the Divi theme, there tends to be quite a bit of extra space and a couple of other small issues that are specific to the mobile and tablet versions of the site. So I want to address these here since they are very common questions. In the Visual Builder, if you click on the three dots at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little gray bar on the bottom left. You can click on these icons to toggle between desktop, tablet, and mobile views of your site. Go ahead and click on the tablet view. This will give you a preview of what your website looks like on a tablet device like an iPad. All you want to do here is take a look and see if there's anything that looks funky or anything you want to change. As I scroll down, you can see that I have kind of a weird space here in between my third and fourth icons. So let me show you how to fix that. First, you want to hover over this first set of icons and click on the Row Settings gear icon. Click on the Design tab and expand the spacing drop-down. The settings you want to play with here are the custom margins and custom padding. Without getting too technical, margin and padding basically determines the space between objects on the page. So if you click on the little icon on the right that looks like a phone, it will bring you to your tablet and smartphone settings. And be sure to click on that icon before you make any edits because we don't want to change those settings on the desktop version of the site. We only want to change the tablet and smartphone settings. So I'm going to go ahead and change the padding at the top and bottom to 0. And that will bring things in a little bit closer. I'll hit my check mark and then repeat the same thing for the next row. So open Settings, click Design, expand the spacing dropdown, click the phone icon next to Custom Padding, and change my top and bottom padding to 0. It looks a lot better, but you can still see that there's a little bit of extra space in here. And that is actually in the Custom Margin section. So I'll click on the little phone icon next to Custom Margin and then change my top margin to 0. A couple of things I want to quickly mention here. First, if you click on the Smartphone tab, you can see that it automatically copies over the settings that you input for tablet. So usually, if you edit the tablet settings, you'll find that it takes care of issues with your mobile display as well. Second, a lot of people ask me what the difference is between margin and padding. It's a pretty technical explanation, and honestly, unless you're writing code, it's not really important. The only thing you need to know right now is that you might need to play with both settings. So if you change padding and things aren't looking right, try changing the margin as well. Okay, so now I'll click the check mark and save the page. If I scroll down again, I also have a ton of extra space in this section. So I'm going to hover over this section, click the gear icon, go to the Design tab, expand spacing, and you can see this custom padding has 130 pixels at the top and 130 pixels at the bottom. I'm going to click on the phone icon and change the custom padding to whatever I think will look good. Let's try 60 pixels on the top and 60 pixels on the bottom. And I think that's okay. There's still a little bit of space, but not too much, so I'll click on the check mark. Now I want to bring this space in a little tighter. So I'm going to hover over my row, click Settings, Design, Spacing, click the phone icon, and change my custom padding at the top to 0 pixels. And now it's just a little easier to see with a bit less white space. I think I'm also going to remove some of the spacing at the bottom of this heading. So same thing, I'll click through to my settings and set the bottom padding to 0. And you can see this is just kind of something you can play around with. It's nothing that needs to be exact, it's just a matter of your personal preferences, and there's no right or wrong answer. So let's go down and take a look at these other sections. The next thing I notice is again too much space here. So I'm going to open my settings, click the phone icon, and let's try 0 at the top and then scroll down and enter 0 at the bottom as well. Keep scrolling and just basically repeat this process and see if there's any other spacing issues that you want to fix. I think this has a little bit too much spacing here, so I'm going to go back up to my section settings, click Design, and let's just make this 30 pixels at the bottom. Keep scrolling down, and again, I want to bring the spacing a little closer. So that's it. I'm fine with the spacing now, so I'm just going to go ahead and save my page, and then I'm going to repeat the exact same thing for the rest of my pages. And once you do this a few times, you can see it becomes pretty quick. Before I go to the other pages, I'm going to click on the mobile icon just to double check the mobile spacing. And like I said, if you've already done things on tablet, usually mobile is going to be okay, but you just want to double check. All right, everything looks good, so I'm just going to save and go back to the desktop version of my page. I also like to check the desktop because it's very easy when you're going through this to accidentally change the desktop settings. So just make sure that everything looks right. Now we're going to repeat the same thing for all of the other pages. So I'll click on the About page, enable Visual Builder, and then toggle the tablet view. One thing you'll notice in this tablet view is that we lose the logo and navigation at the top and the footer at the very bottom. After we go through all of our pages, I'm going to show you a little trick so that we can look into those as well. So I'm just going to take a quick look at this page, and everything looks good as I scroll down. I'll check the mobile version, and again, everything looks good. So I'll go back to my desktop. And like I said, this is subjective, so just because I'm not making any changes to this page doesn't mean that you can't. Okay, let's look at the services page next. I'm in tablet view, and as I scroll down, you can see some funky spacing that I want to change. First, I'm going to remove the spacing at the top. I'll click on Section Settings, Design, Spacing, click on the phone icon, and get rid of the top and bottom padding. And I want to bring this icon a little bit closer to the header below it. So again, Settings, Design Spacing, phone icon, and change the padding to 0. Now that doesn't change anything, so I'm going to try changing the margin. Click the phone next to margin and change the bottom to 0. And there we go, that brought that up a little bit closer. And I'm going to do the same thing for all of the other sections as well, just changing that bottom margin to 0. Now when I get down to the third icon, you can see there's an extra space here which I want to delete. So I'm going to go up to my row settings. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so I can see what's happening. Click Design, click Spacing, click the phone icon, and change the bottom padding here to 0. And that looks good. I'm going to go to the next row settings and change the spacing at the top and bottom padding to 0. Now I'll continue with the spacing for the rest of these icons by changing the bottom margin on each of them to 0. So this section looks pretty good now. The last thing I want to do is remove this little bit of extra space. So again, open Space Settings and remove the top padding. Now I'll just double check and make sure everything looks good. I'm going to save my page, and as I scroll, I think the rest of the page looks fine. So I'm going to double check mobile, and then I will double check desktop as well to make sure I didn't accidentally mess anything up. So quickly, let's view the blog page. I think this page looks good, and I am not going to make any changes here. Next up is the contact page. On this page, I think there's way too much space at the top. I'm going to remove this extra space by clicking on the section settings, design, spacing, phone icon, and changing the top padding to 0. And the rest of it looks pretty good, so I'll just double check mobile. And all that's looking good as well, so I'm going to save the page. All right, we've checked all of the pages, but there's one more step we want to take care of. We want to take a look at the header and the footer, which do not display on the Divi previews. So I'm going to open a new tab and open the home page of my website. Right-click anywhere on the page and choose Inspect. And it's important that you're using Google Chrome here, otherwise this step will be a little bit different. So in Chrome, this brings up the developer tools. And don't get overwhelmed. All you need to do is click on the second icon from the left, which allows you to view the page as it displays in various devices. So what you see here is your site as it would look on a smaller device. And if you look up at the top, there's a drop down where you can change the device that you're viewing. Let's go ahead and change this to iPad since it's a very common device. Then as you scroll down, you can see this page looks exactly like it did in the Divi preview, except at the top you have the logo and the navigation bar. And you can see there's already a problem. The navigation menu is blue and I want it to be in my green highlight color. Then if you click on menu, you can see a second problem, which is that the line at the bottom of the navigation is blue as well. So let's go ahead and fix both of those things. I'm going to grab my highlight color and copy it. Then I'm going to head back to my WordPress dashboard. Hover over Appearance and click Customize to open the customizer. Within the customizer, click on the very bottom option on the left, which is Additional CSS. Now this next step is going to require a very small bit of code, but I promise it's really easy. I provided this code for you in the notes for this module. So grab the code, copy it, and paste it in. And be sure you paste it exactly as it's written because the syntax here is very important. Within the code, you see the # followed by 6 digits. Those 6 digits are the only thing you want to change here. Simply change those 6 digits to the hex value for your highlight color. Then click Publish at the top and let's go refresh the page in our inspector. Now when I refresh, you can see the mobile menu is green. The next thing we want to change is this bottom border color, which is currently blue. Same thing here, you're going to need to copy in a little bit of code, paste it exactly as it is, and then just change the 6 numbers which represent your highlight hex value. Once you're done, hit Publish, and then let's refresh the page again. And now if I click on the menu, all of the colors are looking correct. Scroll down now and let's take a quick look at the footer area. We have the social media icons and the copyright, and that all looks fine. So guys, amazing news. You are completely done with your website. I hope that throughout this course you have gained the confidence and the knowledge to continue to build your website and to add new content as your business grows. As always, I am more than happy to hear any feedback you have, and I'm always available to answer any questions. You can email me directly at ann@annschmidt.co. And once your website is up, I would love to see it. Shoot me the link and I'll share it with our community. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the bonus modules for this course. I have tutorials for you on some things you want to be sure to continue to do for your site moving forward. I'll tell you how to keep your site secure and up to date, how to set up automated backups, and I'll give you some sources for continued learning and assistance as your website grows. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I cannot wait to see what you build.